It's going to be an interesting year for the Boston College Eagles and Bill O'Brien. This is a new coaching staff that comes in after the previous, when you saw Jeff Hafley leave for the NFL, you knew change was coming, obviously, but it was also a different era for college football. And I don't think a lot of people expected Bill O'Brien to take over. Now he takes over a team that's a sleeper team in the ACC, but has plenty of talent to make some noise in 2024. The biggest part of that equation is Thomas Castellanos, someone who is going to be an electric playmaker for Boston College. It's just a matter of can he learn the new system and can he handle the new expectations on him. This staff doesn't know what he's capable of doing. They probably have a better idea now, but it'll be interesting to see how those two gel together. He is a very fun player to watch run the football. He also has potential as a passer. You'd obviously like to see his touchdown to interception ratio improve a little bit. 15 to 14 isn't ideal. You'd like to see throw more to your team, obviously, than the other team. But the pass game is going to be what needs to take a step forward. This is a group that finished 14th in rushing and finished 110th in passing. A lot of that is on him to make better decisions, make better throws, and improve as a passer. But we also know that he's a capable runner who rushed for over 1,100 yards and 13 touchdowns. He is electric with the football in his hands. He is someone who can make big plays with his legs, but you'd like to see him take things to the next level with his arm. That's where Bill O'Brien comes in. That's where he's going to be able to help him and help him improve as a passer and make more plays and balance out the offense as well. And it's not like he doesn't have options either. Lewis Bond is back after 646 yards, 7 touchdown season, 5'11", 188 pounds. So even though this passing attack wasn't great last year, they have options. There's plenty of talent to make this offense better. Even though you lost a couple to the transfer portal and to the next level, you have guys like Lewis Bond that are back who can make big plays, who can make things happen. And that's what makes me think this team should be a much better group because they have talent coming back. And again, if Castellanos is able to work with O'Brien and O'Brien's able to get him to take that next step, this is going to be a really fun offense to watch in 2020. The rushing attack, though, shouldn't take a step back. Castellanos will play a big role. Kyle Robichaux should be back as well and had a big year for the Eagles in 2023, 780 yards and 8 touchdowns. He is a physical runner at 6 foot, 216 pounds. And we know that Bill O'Brien wants to run the football. It's not like they're going to just ditch that all of a sudden. He is someone that's going to play a big role. He's a good complement to Castellanos, and this group has plenty of talent to make this one of the best rushing attacks in all of college football. Adding to that, they brought in Kansas State running back Trayshawn Ward, the former Florida State and Kansas State transfer. This was kind of a surprise. 643 yards and 5 touchdowns with the Wildcats last year. I wasn't really expecting him to go to Boston College of all places, but this adds to that rushing attack. This makes this rushing attack one of the best in college football already, but he adds to that group. He is someone who's a really fun player to watch and someone who can be electric with the football in his hands. And I think that this is going to be a good group, a tough group to stop if you're an opposing team. And Ward is going to be a good complement and give this group a player that's going to help when Robichaux needs to step out or Castellanos needs a breather and someone else needs to run the ball. Ward is very capable of being explosive and taking this offense to another level if possible. The defense should be very interesting as well. This is a defense that did really well against the pass, but I think that there is a concern about what they can do as a whole, and that should improve this year. Donovan Ezriako is going to play a big role, in all conference type player, 6'2", 251 pounds, someone who flies under the radar because he plays for Boston College. People don't really know who he is. 53 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. Someone who I think has good production. But again, people don't really know who he is. He's going to fly. When you play for Boston College, people don't really know who you are. It's been a couple years since we've had, a very prominent Boston College player. This isn't the Luke Kuechly days where everyone knows who the linebackers are, who the defense is. But I think that they can get back to that point. I think that they can get back to a really fun group where people know more of their names, and he's just one of the guys that's going to help them get back to that point. Another guy that can help is Cam Arnold. The linebacker comes back after a 66 tackle year. He had 3 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, 1 sack. A natural playmaker, someone who's going to take on a bigger role this year. You lost a couple of linebackers, and now you're going to look for other guys to step up. Arnold is one of those guys, and it's going to be fun to see what he can do with his new role and what he can do with his skill set under this new staff. A lot of that's going to be dictated, though, with what happens up front. Cam Horsley is going to play a big role in that. 41 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, has good size at 6'3, 315 pounds. So it's not like they don't have options. This is a Boston College defense up front that has a lot of good pieces, a lot of pieces that can make life very easy for the guys behind them. And the defensive line is going to play a big role. Horsley is another guy who could be an all conference type talent. We're not talking about him a ton because he's on Boston College and didn't have the best stats. So unless you're watching the film, you don't really know who he is. But Boston College could be a much better defense because of the guys that they have returning. Now, the offense should be a better group as a whole, and the offensive line has a couple of pieces that are really exciting heading into 2024. Ozzy Trapilo is one of those guys. 34 games of experience, 24 starts. The redshirt senior comes in at 6'8", 313 pounds. So maybe has a future in the NFL as well. So that's a guy to keep an eye on. This Boston College offense was pretty imbalanced last year with how much they ran the football successfully versus how much they struggled throwing the ball. But again, with the talent that they have coming back, as well as the talent they bring in from the transfer portal, this offense should look night and day from last year. One of the players that they brought in that could make a huge impact is Duran Bradley. Coming in from Texas Tech, stands 6'5", 220 pounds, had 431 yards and 4 touchdowns. Again, if Thomas Castellanos can find even a slight step forward and a slight development in his game as a passer, this offense is going to explode. This offense should still run the football. They are going to expect Castellanos to be an effective runner, but they also have options for him downfield. It's really no excuse at this point with the talent that they brought in. And Duran Bradley is one of those guys that's going to help and going to help in a big way. He's a big frame, so you have lots of extra room for error throwing him the football. But you also pair him with Lewis Bond, and now you have guys that can work really well downfield and make life difficult for the ACC. And finally, Jaden McGowan, a absolute speedster who gives a good complement to Lewis Bond and Jerron Bradley as well. 383 yards on 36 catches last year with Vanderbilt. The fact that some of these Vanderbilt receivers, what they did, it's not going to look the greatest, but if you consider some context where they're playing in an offense that struggled against really, really good competition and superior competition, now you expect some bigger things from him. And granted, Boston College is kind of in that same boat where they don't have the same level of competition as some of the teams that they'll face. But this is a better team that has a better chance of being successful than maybe Vanderbilt did in the SEC. Again, this is an offense that expects to be more balanced, expects to take a step forward. And Jane McGowan is just one of those guys that could help in that regard. This is a passing attack that should be much better. It hinges a lot on Thomas Castellanos, but also you're looking at a team that could see plenty of success if that happens. The defense obviously needs to take a step forward, but they have plenty of guys to do that. And this passing attack, if they can take a step forward, has a lot of exciting potential heading into 2024.